My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No. What's your last name?
Oh, Ava Combs.
What's your other last name?
Ava Barone.
Ava Barone.
And he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
In 2020, Sean Diddy Combs introduced the world to his so-called newly adopted 11-year-old daughter, Ava Barron. He kissed her on the cheek, called himself Papa Combs, and claimed her mother had given him permission to take on a fatherly role. But TMZ quickly revealed that it was all a lie. No adoption papers, no guardianship, just a man, a child, and a public act that federal investigators would later label a red flag in a human trafficking case. At the time, the live stream seemed like another odd but harmless Diddy moment, a celebrity turning his personal...
Really, I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck. During those years, you're still stuck 21 years later.
Life into a public performance. Yet when federal agents raided his homes 4 years later, and that same footage resurfaced, what once looked like a stunt began to resemble evidence. This wasn't new behavior for Diddy. For years, he blurred the line between personal life and performance art, brushing off controversies as satire whenever public reaction turned dark. Investigators now believe those jokes were part of a long grooming narrative that stretched back decades. In 2003, a 33-year-old Diddy was filmed at the MTV Movie Awards, inviting 12-year-old actress Defame Chase to an after-party, drink in hand, while laughing as she nervously nodded yes.
They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
Yes. The clip disappeared into the archives, dismissed as a product of a looser Hollywood era, until 2024, when it resurfaced just days after prosecutors filed 7 new lawsuits against him, one reportedly from a 13-year-old who accused him of assault at a VMA after-party. The timing couldn't be ignored. When the old footage went viral again, fans didn't see a simple, awkward moment. They saw a disturbing pattern. Diddy, confident and in control, made jokes about boundaries while cameras rolled, and the young girl, barely a teenager, responded shyly as adults laughed around them. Within hours, the clip racked up millions of views and reignited public outrage. Even people inside the entertainment industry admitted privately that watching it now was unsettling. Former colleagues began describing Diddy's infamous parties as open secrets, events fueled by excess and silence, protected by his wealth and power. Then came the raids. In March 2024, federal agents stormed Diddy's Miami and Los Angeles mansions, executing...
Diddy Combs is facing a new lawsuit just weeks before he's scheduled to be sentenced on prostitution-related charges. Former stylist Deontay Nash accuses the disgraced music mogul of
warrants linked to an ongoing trafficking and racketeering investigation. What they reportedly discovered inside stunned even those who had long criticized him. Court filings described thousands of bottles of baby oil, allegedly used as props in what prosecutors called freak-off gatherings, along with hard drives, digital footage, and communication logs tying his staff to a wider network of alleged facilitators. Authorities didn't call it a scandal. They called it a criminal enterprise that had operated in plain sight for years. Meanwhile, Ava Barron, the young girl from the 2020 live stream, vanished. Her online presence disappeared entirely. No recent photos, no school appearances, no public trace. Fan pages that once posted her pictures alongside Diddy's daughters went silent. As reporters began investigating, they found no record of any adoption, no legal guardianship, and no verified connection between Diddy and Ava at all. Sources suggested that her parents had once been friends of Kim Porter, Diddy's late partner. But the
flight where Diddy said to her,
showed her
she
the video,
testified
showed her the
that
freak-off video.
he showed her a video of a freak-off that she participated in and said, if you don't participate in another freak-off when we get to New York, I'm going to put this video out. I'm going to send it to your mother.
And that's coercion.
She testified
if it's true.
to that.
If the jury
if they believed her,
yeah,
that's coercion.
the trail stopped there. No one, to this day, seems to know where she is. As Diddy's empire collapsed, the story of Ava became even more haunting. Once celebrated as a hip-hop mogul and cultural icon, Diddy now sits in federal custody at MDC Brooklyn, awaiting transfer to a low-security prison after being convicted on 2 counts of transporting individuals for paid companionship under the Mann Act. Though cleared of the most serious trafficking charges, prosecutors insist that the conviction only scratches the surface, a glimpse into a machine built on manipulation and power that protected him for over 2 decades. By the time the raids took place, Diddy's downfall was already in motion. Cassie Ventura's 2023 lawsuit shattered the silence, and within days of her settlement, over a dozen new claims surfaced, each describing
that I'm speaking about it. Something that I'll never forget, actually.
It's the brand new interview that could blow the Diddy case wide open.
He was responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life, so he is able to provide a lot of
similar patterns of coercion, surveillance, and filmed freak-off encounters. When federal agents began analyzing flight records and digital communications, the Ava Baron livestream re-emerged as a key piece of evidence, seen as an early sign of his attempts to normalize public closeness with much younger females. Ava's introduction to the world was strange even by celebrity standards. On Instagram Live, Diddy presented her as a white child he had adopted so she could experience life with a black father. He kissed her cheek, called her "my little girl," and said her mother had given him permission. At first, fans thought it was satire or some bizarre social experiment. But once people realized...
and the sentencing matches that, or did he just not make that connection?
No, he did acknowledge that the sentence that prosecutors were asking for, 11 years, was a bit of an overreach. The probation report recommended 60 months. So when you look at the probation report of 60 months, he comes up with 50 months. The prosecutors wanted 11 years behind bars. It's not quite in the middle, but it's a far cry from...
As there were no documents or legal oversight, the tone changed. As one insider later told Page 6, it wasn't a joke to the people watching, it was rehearsed. Investigators now believe that behind that public act was something far more calculated. Records show that Diddy began tagging Ava in posts with his own daughters, referring to her as family. But by late 2021, she was gone. No birthday posts, no appearances, no explanation. When the raids hit 3 years later, her disappearance became one of the most chilling unanswered questions in the case. Some insiders quietly claim that her parents were pressured into silence. A former employee said Diddy's team had reached out to manage the narrative after the video went viral, ensuring the child's name stayed out of headlines. The family never spoke publicly. Every journalist who tried to reach them was met with silence. Even TMZ, which first revealed there was no adoption, stopped short of confirming her current whereabouts. What began as a viral live stream meant to showcase Papa Combs now hangs over the remains of his career, a symbol of the blurred lines, manipulation, and unanswered questions that defined his downfall. Diddy's downfall has been a slow, public unraveling. The empire he once built, from Bad Boy Records to multi-million-dollar endorsements, has crumbled. The man who once commanded boardrooms and luxury stages now faces years under federal supervision. At his sentencing, Judge Arun Subramanian called him a danger at any age, emphasizing that good deeds cannot erase a history of abuse. Diddy apologized in court, claiming he had lost his way, but prosecutors described him as the architect of a long, deliberate pattern of coercion disguised as celebrity privilege. The most disturbing allegations remain those tied to minors. Federal filings reference multiple incidents spanning over 2 decades, from early 2000s music events to private gatherings in recent years. The resurfaced MTV clip with 12-year-old actress DeVay Chase fits into that same narrative, an older entertainer blurring boundaries with a child star in full public view. What once seemed like harmless showmanship in 2003, now, through the lens of 2024 and multiple lawsuits, looks like evidence of predatory behavior. When the clip returned online, Hollywood insiders began to speak out. Executives who had worked with Diddy described him as a man obsessed with image and control, someone who demanded attention and never
defends the consent. Because, look, sometimes you can argue that this activity never happened, right? You know, it wasn't me, defense. But this is not your typical assault case. There are a lot of people there, right? There are people that are arranging the workers. There are people that are setting up lights and cameras, booking hotel rooms. Obviously, Diddy has a large entourage.
Tolerated being questioned. Back then, no one challenged him. Today, that silence is being re-examined as complicity. The fallout has rattled the entire entertainment industry. Former collaborators are distancing themselves, and corporate sponsors have severed ties. Rumors have also begun to swirl around Diddy's sons, especially King Combs, after he was spotted outside the Los Angeles mansion wearing sweatpants emblazoned with an Illuminati symbol. It might have been just fashion, but the timing was suspicious, days after federal agents raided the same property. Conspiracy theorists seized on the moment, claiming it hinted at a hidden network protecting powerful men. The FBI hasn't commented on those claims, but insiders confirm agents are reviewing all family communications from the days surrounding the raids. Meanwhile, court filings paint a grim picture.
Clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and, smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
Picture of Diddy's current life behind bars. Gone are the tailored suits and champagne toasts, replaced by a narrow metal bunk at MDC Brooklyn. Inmates describe the facility as hell on earth. Reports say he has lost weight, his hair has turned gray, and his once commanding presence carries no power inside the prison walls. His lawyers have pleaded for a transfer to FCI Dix in New Jersey, citing the need for substance rehabilitation. But former inmates note that people convicted of his offenses rarely qualify for that program. As Diddy struggles to adjust to prison life, investigators continue tracing money trails and encrypted messages tied to his inner circle. Several former employees are now cooperating with the authorities, detailing secret chats, coded transactions, and the use of aliases during private trips. The Miami and Los Angeles raids weren't random. They were part of a coordinated sweep targeting what prosecutors now describe as a network of enablers. One federal agent told NBC that evidence from the homes is still being analyzed, but early findings suggest Diddy wasn't operating alone. And yet, through all of it, the image that continues to haunt the investigation is that 2020 live stream. Diddy smiling beside a young blonde girl, introducing her as his adopted daughter, Ava Barron. Every detail, his hand on her shoulder, the kiss on her cheek, the claim that her mother had given him permission, now feels like a breadcrumb in a much darker story. If it was...
I want to start with alleged victim number 4. Who goes by the name Mia. It's an alias. She is one of the people who is testifying where the judge has granted her anonymity. She is on the stand, but everybody in the courtroom has been warned. Do not reveal her identity. Do not even give a physical description.
Meant to be funny or heartfelt, it has aged like evidence. Because when Diddy introduced Ava to the world, he also left behind a digital trail one investigators are now using to reconstruct timelines and identify witnesses. No one can fully explain why he did it. Why create such a moment on camera? Some insiders say it was ego, that he had grown so accustomed to controlling perception, he no longer recognized Diddy.
It's like, wow, for Diddy? Diddy? What? That was a person that I looked up to. He was a mogul. And I listened to all the artists that he made superstars. And so to have a chance to be able to be signed to him, it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I'm here.
17 in the Diddy trial as the biggest one yet. Guess what? Bingo, you won, because today was probably the most eventful day as far as things that happened that were said on the stand, and most importantly, things that the judge said, because Diddy almost got kicked out of his